and little by little, simply by using that, you just discard all the options on the side of the bell curve, and you simplify, and not only you lose track of the black swans, but you lose track of everything which is not the majority of cases.
Actually, I don't think that I completely got what you wanted to say now. But Occam's razor would be another. Its discussions as another alternative option. So let's say the most beautiful picture, something like that. It's a little bit mathematical. Really, the simplest curve which the most power to explain explanation. Which in mathematics you sometimes say this formula is more beautiful than the other one.
All right.
Okay. One thing though, I have just the most important slide for you. I didn't show it to you till now, but the most important slide, of course I know what you want to know, is this.
And now, the final presentation by Professor Petrach from University of Ljubljana.
Thank you. I need this, perhaps you bring it to me.
Yeah, first.
Because otherwise I'm risking more time. So, as I told you, I'm no lawyer, but I'm coming to this conference, actually I'm a philosopher. But I was invited last year by some philosophers of law to some conference in Italy, so I had already a paper written, and I would like to present to you this paper, and it will be about truth, how I understand philosophers. But you are also in not run, but in strive to get to catch truth, I think. So, but this will be in I hope 15 minutes, not more, something I will have to say about truth. So, there are several ways to tackle truth in philosophy. For example, there is some coherence. Is the statement coherent with everything else that we know, for example, things like that. But I go with very simple and basic, actually Aristotelian idea, although I don't like this, as Huckleberry Finn said, I don't take any stock in dead people, like Aristotle, because the aunt who was after his money wanted to have his money, and she said, some story about Moses. I think that he was interested whether Moses was alive. Okay, now Aristotle. I just mentioned this idea of correspondence, theory of truth, because he says something like this. If I say something that is true, that fits to what is happening in the world, this is true, otherwise it is false. So we have truth and falsehood. Now, from this correspondence idea of truth, we have very simple picture, that we have some entities, and I will tell you this very known sentence invented by, I think, some British philosopher: the cat is on the mat. Why? Because it's so, cat is very short. I think this was the reason. Yeah, but the cat is on the mat, well, this is a sentence, and it is true, just in case where we have some cat on the mat in the world. So, we have some entities, we have some properties, and the relations should be fitting. So, for example, mat should not be placed upon the cat. For this sentence to be true. And I would like to say that as we have these cats and mats, usually I was making drawings of cats, but now I'm too exhausted. Although my sister is a very good, one of the most known artists, so my name is P-O-T-R-C. You go on the internet, you have it already, and you will meet my sister. to see the situation. But this is not just correspondence theory of truth, but I call it direct correspondence theory of truth. Why direct? Because it has to have some entities, it has to have some properties, and this should be in the world. And presupposition here is that they exist, that cat exists in the world, that mat exists in the world, and things like that. We philosophers, we invented other stuff. For example, it is possible that the cat is on the mat. What with that? This is possibility. What corresponds to possibility? It's difficult to say. So this is one problem for direct correspondence theory of truth. But already Aristotle had this tomorrow's possible naval battle, and this is what prompted some people, and Hintika wrote, I think, about this, a Finnish philosopher, and this prompted some people. There was some Polish philosopher, Łukasiewicz, who invented three-valued logic. So in order to deal with such cases like tomorrow's naval battle, bear in mind that today's naval battle is actual, so it could be somehow shaped to direct correspondence theory of truth, but tomorrow's naval battle cannot be, because it may not happen at all. So Łukasiewicz invented a third value besides truth and falsity. But why did he invent that? He invented this because this is my interpretation, he wanted to save this direct correspondence theory of truth. So, for example, this possibility or future contingents have some reality. And this, as my friend Siepo knows, is well known in Austrian philosophy. from all places. Meinong, well, there are many Austrian philosophers, but Meinong is one, and he said that there are such things, that there aren't any such things. Es gibt nämlich Objects, es gibt die Gegenstände so, dass es solche Gegenstände nicht gibt. You can translate it. Yeah, and what would be one of those? Little Red Riding Hood, for example. So he thought that although Little Red Riding Hood does not exist in reality, it has to have some existence, like in narration. But he also was giving the example of square circles and things like that. Yeah. Square circle is quite interesting because it cannot exist at all. Yeah. As these Cambridge philosophers tackled this same problem, Meinong's problem, if my memory is right, they found out that some, who is from England here, that there is some building which has square circle roof in Cambridge.
Right.
Yeah. So much about truth as direct correspondence. But there are other, even more interesting examples, and I think these two Italian philosophers, Lorini and Di Lucia, dealt with them, and they are known for philosophers as performatives, like close the door. He didn't obey me because, according to these performatives, conditions just didn't fit. So he saw that I'm not meaning this really serious.
It's not a performative. It's just an imperative or command.
Yeah. Sorry.
Or a norm, if you want.
I pronounce you to be the most, the best lawyer in this room. This would be performative.
So when you get married, when you get married, you say, yes, I want, or I don't know, maybe English formula, but
Yeah.
yes, I'm really.
No,
That's a performance.
you you just say yes and you are stuck for it. Sometimes. Okay. Or happy for something. Yeah, so this was truth as direct correspondence, but these performatives and orders give you, they don't have any truth values. Yeah. Even order doesn't have truth values. But I introduced some approach with a colleague of mine, LegArg. We introduced some approach to truth which is called indirect correspondence theory of truth. Why is this? Because we have these strange philosophical opinions that cats and mats don't really exist. Okay, I will tell you more about this. But let's go to such statements as, I'll just read it.
Sure.
The Conference on Legal Theory, Legal Argumentation and Legal Philosophy just takes place now in Bled. This seems to be a true sentence. And we have this guy in philosophy, I don't know who knows Ryle, Gilbert Ryle, you must know him. I mean, I never met him. He's dead for many years, yeah. But he was important in Oxford, I think. You heard about him? Well, this Ryle, he was kind of behavioristically minded to some extent. Yeah, and here is somebody whom I call real Rylean klutz. I don't know, my friends in US told me this expression, klutz. Somebody who really is, just sees whatever Ryle was interested to see, like cat and mat, and what is this, coffee pot or whatever. But as Ryle and Klutz hears this sentence, the Conference of Legal Theory, Legal Argumentation, Legal Philosophy is just taking place in Bled. He says, but where is the conference? I see people talking with each other. I see some desks, some people are drinking coffee, some are having good times, some are bored or whatever. But I don't see any conference. This is what Ryle and Klutz says. So Ryle and Klutz is somebody who is who just sees things like cat and mat. And in Bled, I see some houses, but where is Bled?
So only natural kinds, you're saying, not social concepts, he says.
Seems to be that this has to do with value, that if you're just taking cat and mat and things like that, it is not really social, because it is tied to your immediate perception. So Ryle and Klutz has this problem. He goes with immediate perception, and this is why he's stuck with conference or Bled. Where is this? And you are very right. My answer as well is that this is actually somehow socially constructed reality, or normative or deontically constructed reality that gives trouble to Ryle and Klutz. But now let me come back from this point of view to cat and mat and tell you just very quickly why we think, myself and my friend who wrote these things, why we think that even cat is enough, doesn't really exist. So we philosophers, we have sometimes this distinction between ontology and deontic. So ontology is whatever really exists in the world, and ontic, as Heidegger said, is just whatever we find in the world, but does not need to really exist. But we have some arguments. I will just tell you very quickly in which direction these arguments go. If you take cat actually it is vague. And we think that vagueness is okay for language and thought, and even for, as I discovered today, in legal surroundings. But we think that there just cannot be any vagueness in the language and mind independent world. So this just cannot be there. We have some arguments. These are called Sorites arguments, and they come from, I think, pre-Socratics or whatever. Zeno. So I was Parmenides think that there is just one. So that there is just one word. We also believe that there is one very complex word, but there are no cats and no cups, for example, in this word, because they don't ultimately exist. This is very controversial, of course, but we even think that common sense, if it gets a little bit sensible, will discover the same thing. Because common sense says, cup, cat, and so on. But then it goes on if it starts to be reflective common sense, that it finds out itself about this vagueness thing, and then it comes to conclusion that really cat and cup don't exist. So don't exist in the ultimate sense. I'm not a nihilist. I think that the world exists, and I think that cup happily exists. I mean that I'm dynamic. I'm a very happy person in this respect.
What do you mean by saying that it exists and it doesn't exist?
Well, very good. He has very good questions. He must be a good lawyer. Does the conference exist? Yes.
That's the conference.
I'm not finished yet. Does the conference exist? Yes. Look here. Does the conference really exist? In the ultimate sense, no. Yeah.
So what's the ultimate sense in which it doesn't exist?
What is the proof of existence? You touch it or you see it.
Okay. Well, maybe
You can say
It's
social object. So
It's social object. It's
touch it,
deontically or normatively constructed.
but you're saying that in the ultimate sense the glass doesn't exist, right?
Yeah, because it's vague.
You should throw it in.
You don't know exactly. Well, it's simpler with cat because myself and cat, we respire. So some molecules are going out of myself as I speak. Then I drink some coffee, some molecules come into me. I'm vague, yeah.
But if you have a problem with cups, what about natural law? We are in big trouble there, or is that something that redeems natural law and gives that existence regardless of whether we touch it or not, which apparently is not even enough?
Well, natural law, I don't see how law would give existence in the sense.
Okay,
Yeah.
so we're struggling with cups because they're more.
Yeah, well, we have,
If the cup doesn't exist, natural law doesn't exist.
that doesn't exist in the ultimate sense because
Yeah.
So what does
If
anything
you
exist?
break it, it doesn't exist.
Oh, word exists.
In the
Only
ultimate
word.
sense.
Word or world?
Word.
And
I should,
nature.
yeah, I'm sorry for my.
Does
bad
nature
English.
exist? Maybe we can derive logically.
Oh, everything,
nature.
all these things exist, but not in the ultimate sense. So Parmenides, for example, when he disputed pre-Socratic, he thought that there's just one, not multiplicity. So this was a little bit idea, yeah. So we think that as word is not vague, cannot be vague. Why? Because vagueness comes just from language and thought, and I deeply believe that the word is not constituted by language and thought. Somebody spoke, you spoke against these guys. postmodernist.
Constituted by language. either.
Yeah, postmodernist sometimes
No,
not.
but I think you actually have meaning. You are right that word exists.
Yeah, the word exists.
No, because in the John's Gospel, they said in the beginning was the Word, and everything
you think?
exists through the Word. So I think
Yeah,
you
but
are right.
well, no.
The Word
We
was at the
disagree.
beginning.
No, there is word and there is word. Yeah, I use some other languages like Slovene. Svet beseda. Word, Welt.
So, die Welt exists or not? Or das Wort exists? What now exists?
Die Welt besteht.
Die Welt besteht, okay.
Yeah, die Welt besteht, yeah.
So, but when you're saying that the glass doesn't exist as such, not the glass, the cup, right?
Yeah.
It doesn't exist because it's also the fact that this is a glass is socially constructed. In fact, you're saying it's only made of molecules that make this glass, and this human creativity that makes of it a
Very
cup.
good question. So we come to truth as indirect correspondence. As I say, the cup is here. It's true, and it's correspondence, but it's correspondent with the word. So just indirectly it is correspondent with the cup.
A concept is a...
So
is
you are right to see that somehow we construct by language and thought things,
Symbols.
co-construct, not symbols, but even
Concepts.
things in the world.
So, but are you saying that there is no, like, in other words,
But in the epistemic sense, okay.
are you saying that are you simply saying that there is no theory-free access to reality? There's always mediation between you as an observer and the objects, and that you yourself have to construct these objects in order to see them properly. And this is
No, I don't think that.
All right.
I think that the world exists independently, but as we come in contact with
So that independent existence is in the ultimate sense.
yes.
And what we do with it, we distort it through our perceptions. Or make of it, not necessarily distort it, we just construct it through our perceptions, theoretical gazing.
Yeah, you may say so. So, but I bet, yeah, there is another question.
Just one quick doubt. And why, I must have missed the link. Why are we so sure that the word actually exists? Is that because Parmenides says so? Why is it not all an illusion like that?
Well, this is just my deep opinion, that the world is not constructed by language and thought, and that it exists independently. So, and the world is whole universe. So, some these physicists are even sympathetic to this view to some extent. Yeah, but I will go to the last part, I think I now presented to you truth as direct correspondence and truth as indirect correspondence. Now I would just like to finish with some observation about commitment. So actually it seems to me that truth as indirect correspondence has some value ingredient or some normative or deontic ingredient involved into it. Now I would like just very simply to tell you some things about perception and convention and things like that. So as I already remarked, in perception we are somehow the fence is around us. So as we perceive things, there is no deontic commitment. For direct truth as direct correspondence, there was some ontological commitment. But if I just see this cup, there is no deontic commitment, no relation really to other persons, according to me. Yes, okay. But then to understand some word like cup or conference, there is some constitutive deontic commitment, and it is the basic, I would say, thing which may be somehow illustrated by saying that we all hold the rope if somebody does not understand what cup is or what cat is or whatever. So they don't follow these convention rules. Yeah, and conventional rules gives you the bare or what I may call also somehow kernel meaning or basic meaning. But there is, and I will stop with this, but there is also some very constitutive, but non-constitutive, well, I will tell you the case. So if we say a cup or conference, the picture would be we all hold this rope, and if you don't hold it, it's slack somehow. But in moral terms, we all understand good act or bad act or something like that, but there are disagreements. So we there have conventional meaning fixed, but we can still disagree. For example, some philosopher would say there doesn't exist the world without, there doesn't exist any world, or everything is constructed by language thought, and I would oppose it. This is what I have to say.
Any further questions?
Just one small.
Oh, yeah.
What would you think about archetypes? Do they exist, or could they be fit into this indirect correspondence of truth?
Well, I don't know what archetypes are. I studied. I'm older as most of people here, and I studied. I'm 64. I just had this, and I'm so old as I remember Beatles. So recently I was 64, so I said, Beatles. Okay, why did I say this? I forget it.
Which archetypes?
So I did many things, and one of these things were these psychoanalytic studies. And but the guys whom I followed were very much against archetypes, as for example, this Jung would use them. But I don't. I never understood what archetypes are, but I worked with concepts and with stereotypes, things like that. For example, cup. Someone gave this example. Till what extent you can distort cup, and it's still the cup. Yeah. To what? Somebody gave example. I'm sorry, I forgot who it was about the chair. Oh, it happened at another conference. No, but chair, it has these properties to have four what you call it? Legs, yeah. But it's not necessary, and so on. Bird actually usually nests in trees, chirps, you say, and what does it do? Flies. But there are penguins, for example.
What about Plato's ideas? Because sometimes they could be associated with Jung's archetypes also.
I'm sure about that, but my friend Sepo doesn't like Plato's idea. Can I ask something? Yeah.
Apparently it's already very difficult and contentious already with cups and these natural kinds. But then lawyers, we usually tend not to deal with these kind of easy questions, whether this is a cup or not a cup. For example, we would argue about such a proposition and its lack or presence of truth. For example, Slovenia is a democracy. So how do we establish the truth of this kind of a proposition?
Well, here is my gut reaction. So I would say that, if the word is such that it fits to this sentence, whatever you say, then it's true. Otherwise it's not. But for example, some people after hearing this lecture would say that perhaps it's not completely so. I would say yes.
Right, but wouldn't you say that...
But there must be some perhaps independent fact.
But the thing is that there's no independent fact, or as you said before, the very notion of democracy might be deeply contested. So I have my own theory of democracy, and I'm looking to this theory at Slovenia. And now I might see different things than somebody else, my co-citizen.
Yeah, this
So-
is what I was, this last case that you mentioned, I was mentioning, I invoked rational disagreement cases, so.
Right.
So we made, so this is then really legal and deep philosophy, agreement and disagreement stuff.
So in terms of the